Hey everyone, it's Matt with EquiPredict.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. In this video, we're going to be talking about using a Bollinger Band and volume trading strategy across 4 time frames for QLD. We're going to be using QQQ as a proxy, and I'll explain why in just a moment. And again, if you're enjoying some of the content we're providing, please do subscribe to the channel. You can also head over to our website, EquiPredict.com. We have a forecasting model. We do send out to our readers an occasional EquiPredict alert for our folks over there. So it's EquiPredict.com. Up on the screen here, we've got 4 time frames. On the bottom left, we've got a monthly chart. On the bottom right, we've got weekly. On the top right, we have daily. And on the top left, we have an hourly. And we're going to be using QQQ as a proxy for QLD to avoid slippage. Anytime that we go ahead and use leverage, we always take our cues, our signals, and our triggers from non-leveraged ETFs. You can read up. It's kind of out of the scope of this particular video, but there is slippage when you use leveraged products. So we're going to be using QQQ for representing QLD. And up on the screen, we've got, just to establish the settings, instead of the standard 20 period setting that the Bollinger Bands come with, which is that line down the middle, which is a simple moving average, we've adjusted that to 18. So each one of these time frames has a Bollinger Band setting of 18 instead of 20. We have HLC bars. We're going to be getting rid of the open on each one of these just for cleanliness. Again, every piece that you add into your charts in front of you is a piece of data that you have to cope with, you have to deal with. And so we're trying to use as few as possible to remain effective. And I'm going to try to avoid getting too far into the weeds, but just far enough that this is sort of a crash course you can use in your own trading strategy. So again, I digress, but this is HLC bars, those blue, the blue bars there. We also have volume down the bottom of each one of these charts, as well as a 21 period simple moving average overlaid on the volume so that you can better identify sort of the trend, and you can identify when volume is high in comparison to the prior volume bars. So that's what we have up on the screen. I don't think there's anything else that I've left out here. So we're going to hop right into it. Essentially what we want to do is we want to first focus on our monthly and weekly charts. Again, this is a strategy that we're going to be using to time our entries and exits on the hourly. But we're going to be starting way up high at that monthly charts to first establish our trend. This is going back to October of 2023. We are going to cover in the next slide, next screen, kind of what's happening now with QQQ and QLD and what we see sort of transpiring, which is actually eerily similar to what we saw here in October of 2023, and you'll see that in a few minutes. But the monthly chart here in October of 2023 was really sort of in a neutral territory. I say neutral because you had the price action was in between that upper Bollinger Band. Indicators really work best at their extremes. So here, for example, in June of 2023, or here in September of 2022, you really had your price at your extremes on the Bollinger Band indicator. So they work really well there. That's when you're going to get the most bang for your buck when you go ahead and implement other trading strategies and use the Bollinger Band strategy on those. But right now, on this particular example, we're in sort of a neutral territory. But say we want to go ahead and look for either a resumption of trend or reversal of trend, or the creation of a new trend. We're going to hop down to the weekly once we've kind of established in our mind what's happening. We've had, obviously, on the monthly, we've had an up move, and then it's sort of gently coming back down into October of 2023, the QQQ and QLD. So what we have on the weekly time frame is actually a Bollinger Band pinch. Now, whenever you see these on any equity that you're looking at, this is a great opportunity. I say that because it's a period of consolidation. We don't know if it's accumulation or distribution until it's finished, until the lower time frames really start to show that the price is starting to move in a particular direction. But these Bollinger Band pinches, when these Bollinger Bands come together, it indicates that price is going to go ahead and make a move at some point soon. So there's always a good idea to tune in when you see that pinch sort of happen like it did in October of 2023. So once we've identified sort of that we're in this sort of trading in a sideways sort of action, the volume's not really impressive, let's hop down to the daily. Now, here we are beginning of October of 2023. It's got pretty choppy, but what you actually had transpire here was your typical bull trap. And what I mean by that is it's always a good idea to draw your trend lines in. Okay, not a perfect one, but I hope you get the idea. This is the downtrend line for QQQ and also QLD. And what we had was a break to the upside. And using the Bollinger Band as sort of a reference, the volume and the middle part of the Bollinger Band, that 18 period moving average, you can see that ever since September 18th, it broke below. It was in the lower half. It was kind of, down here touching the bottom half of the Bollinger Band. But then we had a break to the upside, and that told us that a potential new move was going to, a new trend was starting to develop. Reason why is because we had a closing in that particular week, that particular day on the upper part of the Bollinger Band, as well as high volume that was higher than the previous, 8 or 10 periods before that. So that tells us that using the Bollinger Bands and volume, that a new trend is established. Now, I say it's a bull trap because this is your typical case where folks who bought in here, right up through here in the top Bollinger Band, were hoping that this was the start of a new trend. This is why a lot of books will tell you about the 1, 2, 3 sort of, here's your break to the upside. This is your first move. You get to sort of a peak on the top side, and this is your 3 down here, which we'll get to in just a second, is a great place to enter. But this is a bull trap because you had folks who went long here, and then price just fell precipitously. Now what you're going to see is volume was quite high. People were throwing in the towel just between October 23rd and October 30th of 2023. Price broke below the Bollinger Band. It closed in the bottom half of that half of that bar, close to the range in that particular day on high volume. That's a micro example of capitulation. Essentially, you've got so many people saying I was wrong up here, and they went and threw in the towel. But then what happened is price started to rise. So if you're in this particular camp here where you're just watching the price fall, it's a good idea to be an observer. At that particular time, you want to head down to the lower time frame, which is the hourly, and we want to start looking for a trend, either resumption where it continues to fall or pops to the upside. And again, this is where November of 2023 began, right about there. This is where everyone was throwing in sort of the towel on the 26th of November, okay? All these bars here, these hourly bars right here, add up to this big bar right here. And what we want to be looking for is, if we're going to be looking for a long position, we want to be looking for a pierce on the hourly to the upside of the Bollinger Band on high volume. So we would have been really an observer to this point because there really wasn't anything happening. Again, you had that Bollinger Band pinch. If you remember, we talked about that earlier on the video here, and we had then a break to the upside as we got into November, gap up, high volume. That tells us that's a great place to enter. Yes, you could experience another one of these on the hourly chart. You could experience one of these sort of pullbacks again. But the fact that on the hourly chart that there was high volume as we entered into November, obviously it's also a bullish period of time of the year, a gap up, and then off to the races, the market went from there on in. So we're going to hop to actually what is happening as of the present time. And interestingly enough, if you look at the the monthly chart here, we're actually, I know we're only halfway through the month or so, just shy of it in August of 2024, but you can see that it actually sort of resembles what we saw in the chart of 2023 in October. We're sort of in this neutral position, but what we've established is that we've hit the top band here. The one thing I will note is that as price climbed, and this is sort of a summary for anyone who's looking at QLD, kind of what to do right now, you didn't have a whole lot of conviction on that climb. Price was declining. But I think the one, I take it as a positive sign. Up here, you didn't have a massive, a volume spike like this, and it hit the top of the Bollinger Band. That would have indicated a kind of a blow off top, and we didn't see that. So I don't take it as a bearish, or a truly bearish indication just yet. I don't think we're ready. I think we do have some bearish time coming up, sometime between March and July of next year. But for now, I think it's okay to be. It's okay to be taking up long positions when the time is right for the QQQ and QLD, but we just need to figure out when. And so on the monthly chart, we're sort of stuck in this neutral position. We floated off the top. The volume has been relatively light. The one bullish indication that I take home on this particular move just in this past closing week is that we closed in the top half of the range here, and we had high volume that was greater than the previous 10 or so bars prior to that. So that's actually, I take that as a bullish indication. Given that fact, if we're looking for an entry, we're going to hop down to the daily now, and you're going to see that the Bollinger Bands, we're actually kind of drifting since about the 15th or so of August. We've been drifting downwards. There really is nothing yet to tell us that we're going to be heading into a new uptrend. Again, we got a nice signal here telling us that's a bullish signal, not necessarily a trigger, but a bullish signal on the weekly. But nothing really in the daily except the fact that we had sort of this mini capitulation here on August 5th, whereas price slammed down below the part of the Bollinger Band. It did close sort of just above the halfway mark on that price point range in that day. And then, so we may actually be already sort of heading in the right direction in terms of in terms of price action. But what you're going to see is here we're sort of getting this arguable Bollinger Band pinch here on the hourly. Nothing's really transpiring yet, just to tell us that we have a new trend in up place. What we want to do, if we go back and take a look, the ideal setup would be to take a look and see if we can find something like this back in November of 2023, where we had sort of the 18 period starting to curl upwards, a gap up, high volume, and a break above the top Bollinger Band. And we just don't have that yet at the current time. And so we're going to be watching and waiting, seeing how things play out. But again, I hope this helps you in terms of understanding how to use the Bollinger Bands. In summary, you want to be looking for, if you're going to the long side in QLD, QQQ, you want to be looking for a pierce to the upside, to the upside of the Bollinger Band. You'd like that 18 period moving average to curl upwards. You want some high volume to confirm. And that will tell you that a new trend or a resumption of the trend to the long side is taking place. Good luck and happy trading.